you have your phone on you? Because I have a question for you. Do you have Amazon, right?
Like the delivery service?
Yeah, for books only.
No.
You don't have Amazon?
I have
The
Amazon.
app?
I thought the books only was a joke. Yes, I have the app.
Okay.
Like this?
Yeah. Go to your cart.
Mm-hmm.
And then how many saved for later items do you have right now?
I know I actually have some, which is rare.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's still loading, it says.
Okay. I can out myself first. I have 92. I come across shit.
7.
You only have 7? That's pretty good. I wonder that's probably a normal amount.
I mean, I've gone long periods of time with 0.
Okay.
I guess I don't utilize it like I should.
Yeah. What are the items, if you don't mind me asking? Butt plug.
Yeah.
Whips chains.
A bottle of cologne that I always have a hard time. Oh, it says it's not available. Oh, I outweighted it. A couple shirts. Some like Under Armour tank tops because
Ooh.
I've been playing tennis. And I was looking at possibly joining an indoor club, and they won't let you play shirtless in there. And I don't like any shoulder restriction.
Okay.
Like if I was playing basketball or tennis or anything like that,
Yeah.
I don't like I sweat a lot. And
Yeah.
shoes, Taylor Swift car air freshener.
You a big T Swiftie? Are you a Swiftie?
Absolutely.
Nice. I haven't
Male
listened.
Swiftie.
I can't say I've ever listened to one Taylor Swift song.
Yes, you have.
I'm sure I've heard them, but I haven't gone out
Out of your way.
I got to hear the new T Swift.
Yeah, you should check it out.
Yeah.
And then a jewelry tray.
Yeah.
Which I never purchased.
Okay, that's cool.
Or like a end table.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't need to go down my whole thing, but I have like T-shirts. I have a book. I have a camera. A bread maker that I really want. I want to start making my own bread. This thing is it says it's $450, and I feel like when I first added it to my cart, it was like $140. So I feel like I should have pulled the trigger when I had a chance. Incense, bunch of supplements, oats. I'll hear about shit on podcasts, and then I'll add it to my cart because it'll say it does something beneficial. Saw palmetto. Can't tell you what it does or where I heard it, but I have saw palmetto in my cart. Anywho, that's enough of that. So we talked a little bit about doing a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to do a challenge, or did you want to just shoot the shit and talk about life? Totally up to you.
I didn't prep for any challenge.
Okay.
Any off the top of your head that might be?
Well, the only one that came up when you showed me your fridge, it's full of monsters.
I know. Well, see, that's the inventory, so
yeah,
I can't just leave it.
That's true.
I could.
That's true. You can't just bail on the caffeine. Yeah. You know what? I think I'm going to go a different direction with this channel anyways, so you don't have to talk about a challenge.
We talk about stuff. I mean, we've both kicked stuff in the past, so if stuff like that comes up, but right now, yeah, I don't know.
Well, you've been doing good with the nutrition and exercise.
Yeah.
We talked about that.
We could.
Let's talk a little bit about your journey. Let's get to know Derek. Oh, by the way, everybody, if you're just tuning in, this is Derek. This is the Relentless podcast. Name workshopping. I might change it. There's too many damn Relentless channels, Relentless podcasts out there. But so we got to know each other through mutual friends, 12 steps, whatever. And you've been on quite the weight loss journey over the past 7 years.
This past time was 2.
Okay.
So we actually took a gap. I mean, we didn't see each other several times. I mean, during COVID, I did I lost all that with keto, which I can't do anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just not. I can't do it.
Right. To anyone brand new to the idea of keto, what exactly is it?
You're basically trying to get your body fat adapted, which would mean you're kind of transitioning from carbohydrates being the primary energy source to fats.
Yeah.
So, everybody's different, but 100 grams of carbs, 50 grams of carbs or below. I liked how I felt, but I wanted to do more exercise and lift, and it's just not super conducive to that.
Right. Carbs.
This time around.
Carbs definitely help with the fuel
Yeah.
in terms of exercise.
Like I don't discourage it. Like there's, I think if someone's like really, really heavy, I think it's a good option.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it wasn't what was right anymore.
Right. And there's different versions of eating keto. There's like the clean version where you're eating pretty much all whole foods, just dialing back the carbs. So like the breads, the pastas, even fruit, which is weird to say. Like if you're eating keto, you could barely.
Yeah, I was avoiding them.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of berries.
Yeah,
but
which was weird. It felt weird.
It's like, okay, so for breakfast, you telling me I can have a pound of bacon, but I can't have a banana? Yeah, right. I always thought that was funny. But I'd done it too a couple of times, and I found the same thing where I trimmed up quite a bit, but the biggest benefit for me was the cognitive aspect of it. My brain just seemed to work better when I was doing keto. I felt good in my brain too, and I earlier this year I tried just meat and fruit for 40 days. Which isn't keto because of all the fruits and sugars you get, but my brain felt pretty good then too. And so since then, I've kind of reintroduced some rice and vegetables and stuff like that, try to do more balanced. But what are you doing these days, nutrition-wise?
So it's been about 2 years now. So I had to first get over the fact that I put all of what I lost on keto back on. And that took like a good year and a half of like, man.
Yeah.
It sucked.
Yeah.
I was out in New Mexico in like April of 23, pretty overweight, probably 230.
Okay.
I'm like 170 right now.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, you look great, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so, I like to travel. I'm out spending money on these trips. And the very last day of that trip, it was solo. I was doing a lot of hiking. I wanted to climb the highest point in Texas. And I woke up that day and like I just knew I couldn't do it. And I was already struggling on the ones I did complete. So I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of it's time again. I just, it definitely cycled on and off, but for the most part, the last 2 years I've been counting calories.
Yeah.
And this time I did incorporate more exercise and try to like make it more of a lifestyle change versus, bringing my own keto wraps to restaurants as you smuggling those in.
Yeah, all the times.
As you recall, I would take it. Big groups, we'd go out. I'm pulling my wraps out. I'm taking sandwiches out of the restaurant bread, wrapping it up in mine.
Exactly. Yeah, we'd go to what was the Mexican restaurant by the 8 and Taft meeting?
The one that everyone hated, but we kept going to.
Yeah, we just went after every Saturday meeting. Can't remember the name. It was like Mexican.
It came up the other day too.
Yeah. I could Google it, but no point. What is the highest point in Texas? What is that called? Do you remember? I could look that up.
Yeah.
So is it a place where
it's near El Paso?
Okay.
Well, so yeah, it's about an hour. I was staying in El Paso at that point. I started in Santa Fe and went down. I wanted to do some southern New Mexico, but so El Paso was the closest, decent metro area to stay in.
Okay. Cool. I've never really explored Texas at all. I drove through like the northern tip when I moved out to California.
Just El Paso for me, just the armpit.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I've even been there.
Yeah.
But I technically have.
Right. I'm thinking about next year, and we might go on a little trip to either like Corpus Christi or South Padre Island, San Antonio, somewhere where it's a little tropical. You don't really, tropical and Texas don't really. They're not really synonymous, but I think there are areas of Texas where you can get that Gulf vibe.
Corpus Christi's there.
Yeah. You ever been? You haven't been there, no. I know Stone Cold Steve Austin is from there. Do you know who that is?
I've heard the name.
He's the greatest pro wrestler of all time. Austin 316, give me a hell yeah. Oh, and I usually don't give the date we're recording this, but we're recording this on 4th of July.
Yeah.
Happy Independence Day. We'll have to throw on the Will Smith movie to commemorate this glorious time. You ever watched Independence Day?
I have. It's been a long time, though.
Oh, man, there's a speech in that movie. Bill Pullman plays the president, R.I.P., and he gives a speech to, like, rally the troops to go take down those aliens, and it gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. He's like, "We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Anyhow, what's your job? What do you do for work?
I do accounting now.
You're an accountant?
Accountant. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Did I know that?
Maybe.
So back pre-COVID.
Probably going to school at that point.
Okay. So
but I was still working. I've been working at that place forever, but I've had a lot of different jobs there. Been in the accounting department for a couple of years now.
Nice. What type of accounting? Isn't there different types?
Yeah,
I had Nick
so it's
T
not.
on.
A lot of people usually hear that and they think tax. It's not. It's just
Right.
like we're a small private company.
Okay.
Just for
Okay.
them, you know.
Okay. Nick T said he's a controller.
Yeah, I am as well.
That's what you are?
Mhm.
Oh, sweet. Good for you, man.
I thought Nick was. Well, he used to be in tax
Yeah.
auditing.
Right. I think that was like his goal was to be a controller, or maybe he just used that term and I'm attaching attached to it. But I think he was more in like he got a gig at a startup, one of the first like 5 or 6 employees, and he's like their kind of head of finance now.
Cool.
Doing good. It's a good gig. Yeah. What was the schooling like? Just a lot of numbers?
Oh, it's just like a general business,
Oh,
to be
okay.
honest.
Okay.
And that I've had like 2 college experiences. That one was commuter, like part-time evening, strictly business while working.
Okay.
So.
Any remote capabilities for that? Like, could you go to a lecture hall from the safety of your own home?
Yeah, I mean, a good portion of that was like 2021, 2020. So a lot of that was online, which was good and bad.
Yeah, I could see that.
You can just
turn your camera off.
Oh, there was not even a camera.
Oh, really? You just tuned it. Was it live or was it
a lot of times it was just posted.
Okay. Yeah. I would probably opt for that. Like if I were to ever go back to school, I'd probably opt for that. But there is a social aspect that you learn a lot. Like if you get like a little group of friends and you're talking about the material or whatever.
Well, and just accountability.
Exactly.
If I'm required to be there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. When you were in college the first time, was that before the sobriety days?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Barely surviving.
Yeah.
Barely surviving. It's not like I don't regret anything. I just because like what if it turned out differently? Things have turned out pretty well. But I wish I could, Central like looked different. Like that was the true college experience, and I had some good times, but it was those are brutal years.
Yeah, for sure. Were you making it to class?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was. I was assisted in doing so.
Yeah.
I left there to try to get sober, but the grades were okay. But I don't know. I was in a medical program, and it was a double. Like I didn't fit in with them. Nothing like that.
I felt the same way when I was first studying education, and I thought I wanted to be a teacher, and I didn't fit in with the crowd. It was a lot of, I don't want to say artsy folk, because there's nothing wrong with being artsy, but there is like a snooty kind of vibe to it, like a kind of thing, and
Academia.
Yeah, academia. Maybe that's like kind of the whole university experience for the most part. But yeah, I never really felt in. Like people would ask, like, "What are your teaching methods going to be?" I'm like, I don't know. Tell them the information and hope they learn it and whatever. Take a test, whatever. But yeah, and then I did the same. I took a semester off because I had no direction. And that's when, in that semester, is when I decided to go to rehab and get sober. And then that's where it's like very serendipitous. That's when I went back, I went and studied something I actually enjoyed with a clear mind. And the education experience was totally different after I did that.
So time-wise, that was a lot closer together for you then. So I had a couple years off.
Okay.
I left Central in February of 15. 3 rehabs.
Really?
Between then and I started up part-time at Dearborn in 17.
Okay.
So I'm 32 now. I did not graduate till I was 29. That used to bug the shit out of me before it finally happened for me.
Yeah.
But it was just a different path.
Yeah.
You know, I was doing sports medicine up there.
Oh, cool.
Like you said, the people I expected to be, they weren't sports people. I don't know. I don't know what they were at, but they weren't. A lot of that just didn't transfer over. So it was a pretty fresh start.
So it was U of M Dearborn?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I took a class there.
What did I say, Dearborn or U of M?
I think you just said Dearborn.
Okay, yeah.
So a
lot of people there like to think they went to U of M, but
yeah, my mom has a degree from U of M Dearborn, and
it's a good school, but it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Ann Arbor.
Right.
It's all right.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
our tuition checks went down to Ann Arbor.
Oh, really?
I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the checks just stated University of Michigan, so they could, use it for the main campus.
Yeah. You couldn't catch me on my worst day in Ann Arbor. Fuck that.
That's where my first meeting was.
Oh, that's good. Okay, well,
It was a bad day. You're right.
Yeah. So here's a funny story. We had talked a little programming. So this is, I don't want to call this a pet peeve because it's all on me. I tripped up, and sometimes I'll go on TikTok again. Whatever. I'm not pro.
You're totally off the grid now.
I know I'm not pro TikTok by any means, but I created an account just so I could post the shorts from this channel on there, just to get a little, just to tap into a different market, whatever. And so of course I fell victim to, now I check it every now and then, and I found that there's a lot of anti AA content on there, and whatever, it probably feeds me more of it because I watch
it. Yeah.
I kind of rage watch it, it's like rage bait.
I didn't know that existed.
For me. Yeah, there's a whole movement like of people, and they pick it apart, and a lot of times I can look at it and just chuckle, which I do most of the time. Sometimes I watch it, I'm like, yeah, they're absolutely right. Like, it's not going to keep me from going, but right. Yeah, sometimes.
So what's some of that, what is some of the negative talking points?
Yeah, and we can get into that in a second. So
okay.
This guy in particular, he was picking apart the fourth step, which is the one where you make a moral inventory of yourself. You basically review your life history. You walk through resentments, fears, and sex relations. And this guy was like very condescendingly, he seemed very jaded. He was just picking apart the fourth step. And some of his thoughts were relatively valid. Some of them were just totally incorrect. So I'm like, don't do it. I commented. And I commented in a very pleasant way. I'm just like, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that was your experience. I'm pro, like, whatever people do for their own mental health. Like, if it helps you and you're happy, cool. Like, I'm pro that. But let me add a little nuance to what you said about this part of the fourth step and that part of the fourth step. And I just left it at that. Not only did he comment back, he took my comment and made a whole separate video.
Amazing.
To run down my comment. And so now I'm like, okay, I don't want to get into a TikTok war with this
pub.
With this fuck. Yeah, it is a smaller channel, but and I think he's like the director at a place called like Logic Recovery, where they use Logic to get sober, which awesome. If you can use Logic to get sober, you probably don't have any need for the 12 steps. Anywho, he made this video, and the first part of it was kind of pleasant. He was like, yeah, look at this guy. He's not yelling. He's not arguing. But here's where he's being manipulative and he's wrong. And then he went on and blah, blah, blah. And so I then replied, I'm just like, hell yeah, dude. You seem like a good guy. Shot in the dark. Not sure if you're local to Michigan, but would love to have you come on my podcast so we could have a conversation. And then nothing. He didn't reply to that. But it gave me an idea that I'll throw it over to you for your time and experience in recovery and the 12 steps. What would you say are some pros of the 12 steps? And what would you say are some cons of the 12 steps?
Are we going to speak specifically on that, or like maybe the community as a whole too?
Either one. Recovery? Either one, because I think...
See where it goes.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start with cons.
All right, that's fun.
I think some of us have a tendency to maybe get lost in the community a bit and not. It's like the whole point of the whole point of it, I think, is to be able to like get back into life and do anything we want, frankly. And I think there's sometimes like there's like a narrative that like you can't ever stray too far away from the rooms, too far away from the community, which I always stay involved. But like, man, I didn't get sober to hide in the rooms. I didn't get sober to have to be tied to a chair every night, you know. And it's just been my experience that if you're doing this a certain way, in my opinion, correctly, like you can go anywhere and do anything, and I think you're not getting the full benefits that recovery has to offer if you're not also out and about, you know, living life, doing other things.
Yeah.
Whether that's family, whether that's travel, whether that's whatever. So I think we can kind of get tunnel vision with that.
So the people who kind of hide out in the rooms, like
Yeah.
you said, like don't do a whole lot outside and just
I think that's scared.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a case of maybe the recovery is not quite there yet. It's another one.
Well, because it does say in the big book, it encourages one to walk freely amongst other people, like as long as we have a legit reason to be somewhere.
Yeah.
If there's drinking, the idea is you don't shy away. You go, you have a good time.
Yeah.
And you could go to weddings. You can go to...
Think about if we couldn't, though. Like, that would be such an exhausting way to live.
Oh, God.
And that isn't often... That's like a misconception is... I mean, it took years for people to realize, all right, Derek's all right. Like, being around wherever he's at. Even though I would tell them repeatedly. But if we... And it talks about it in the book, too. If we had to avoid temptation, like, that's not what this is about.
Right.
There's a liquor store in every corner in this country.
Correct.
It's... Like, that can't be the solution.
Yep.
What's another con?
I got a con.
Go ahead.
Okay. A con is...
Yours or there? Your...
Well, my own con.
Okay.
That I just jotted down here. All right. So this one might be a little controversial.
I'm into it.
But the fact that there are 0 qualifications for someone to be a sponsor is a little worrying to me. Like, the only guidance given to someone that's brand new is just like, yeah, just go ahead and select anyone who has what you want. And okay, I don't know. It would be really tough to enforce, but it seems like you should have to at least take a test, some kind of basic fucking exam. And I've seen it before where I had a friend in the program and she had a new sponsee. Of course, wouldn't reveal a name, but she gave the vibe that like this was her new bestie and they're going to go ahead and work the steps real quick so she can find a guy and date. And it's like, okay. And then I was just like, I was picking her brain a little bit. I'm like, oh, so she told me like, oh, we're going to do the 4-step. We're really nervous. I'm like, so you're doing it right out of the book, right? With the columns and the resentments and the fears. And she goes, wait, what? I'm like, the 4-step with the columns and the resentments and the fears. She goes, can you send that to me? Because I'm like, you're sponsoring somebody. And so like, you know, I like that there are very little rules for the most part. The only requirement to come to a meeting is just a desire to stop drinking. Love that. I love the approach to the higher power stuff. Like, you don't have to have anything set in stone ever. Just do it. But with trusting someone to guide you through the stuff, there should be a little bit more strict guidelines there. And then one other thing, in that same vein, where I struggled as a sponsor was when you have somebody going through steps 8 and 9 and they're getting ready to make these amends, and it's kind of a sponsor's job to tell them yay or nay on certain people. That's pretty tough to do. Like, you know, without a tremendous amount of backstory, without a bunch of experience on your own, being like, yeah, you need to make amends to your mom because this, or no, you don't need to make amends to the ex-girlfriend because your intentions seem a little fuzzy there. It seems like you're trying to rekindle things. So that part, making the amends, is a big one for me.
Mm-hmm.
And without any sort of qualifications, it seems like, be careful.
Yeah, I remember you got me thinking, like early days. Granted, I wasn't like too interested in actually doing much around there at that point, but you hear a lot of different opinions of like stay clear of that guy, or like endorsements of others, and it's like a million different opinions, and yeah, I think there's a lot of over the year I've tried to open my mind even more, but I still think there's like we have a set of directions, and you're right, that can get lost. You know, I see someone sponsoring someone without the kind of urgency that I think is wasn't at least necessary for me. Like I don't, once someone's ready, it's time to go.
Right.
Like, and that's when I did my best work. That's when I've seen others do their best work. And, you know, I was amazed at how quickly, you can feel pretty good pretty quickly in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think oh God, you want something else controversial too.
Oh boy.
I don't think it kind of touches back to the, you know, logic recovery guy too. You know, maybe it's not for everyone, but like we don't qualify. Like as you stated, the only requirement is a desire to stop drinking. That doesn't necessarily qualify you needing to be there. Those folks are welcome. Our community's littered with them. You won't hear that said very often. But so what's the problem? The problem is if they have some time under their belt and they look generally happy, a newcomer may not get adequate guidance as to who to select, like you said. So if someone doesn't need these steps to get sober, to stay alive, to be happy and joyous and free, but then they're sponsoring someone who does, they do need that, and they're not getting that.
Yeah.
That's just a hairy topic, but
yeah,
I've seen it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's why it might be best to have like
that's on the community as a whole though, to just talk about it, like what really makes. I don't think we talk about the disease enough.
Yeah.
Like what makes one, and then what does that mean? Like what's the prognosis on that? Because it's a lot more gruesome than I think we even talk about sometimes.
Yeah, and you get reminders of it.
Yeah.
Coming to meetings long enough, you see people who seemingly have it, and then they don't. Then they decide they're going to go have a fun night drinking, and then you never see them again, whether they die or end up in the hospital or jail or just don't come back to meetings.
Often not truly convinced, though, is kind of what I don't know, man. Once it, like, I knew I was one, but, like, what does it mean to be one? Okay, and once that sunk in, I got pretty willing pretty quickly.
You got that gift of desperation.
Yeah. And I like that knowledge. The knowledge isn't going to do anything, but it can motivate me.
Yeah.
You know, I've been around for over a decade. Not sober that entire time, but a good majority of it. So how does that flame stay there? It's knowing that that's what this disease is like.
Yeah. Speaking of that, this just occurred to me. 13 years to the date that I relapsed.
So
July 4th.
Is today your date?
No, so I relapsed in New York City.
Oh yeah.
After 2.5 years sober, and then I kind of played the in and out game for I don't know 8 or 9 months. But April 17th, 2013 is my standing.
Did you work the steps in that for those 2.5 years?
I actually did.
Okay.
I think I would say I worked them to the best of my ability, and I didn't stop going to meetings. I didn't stop talking to my sponsor, but the desperation wasn't there anymore. It just kind of become mundane, routine to go to a meeting.
Yeah.
And then I had technically gotten to step 12, but I never reached out a hand and tried to work the steps with somebody else. So
see, that's probably where, yeah.
I thought I could keep it as mine, but I never really gave back.
I mean, that's the main reason that's probably the only reason I go now is the social aspect and that. It's the only reason.
My favorite thing, but we'll talk pros now.
Okay.
Pros of it.
Yeah.
This is a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still to this day, after going to meetings I got first introduced in 2006, so coming up on 20 years. My favorite part is seeing someone come in brand new and they share stories like, my parents won't talk to me, my kids won't talk to me, my whole family, I have no friends anymore. And then you see them again months later and they're like, there's a whole different aura about them, to use a term the kids use nowadays. Aura. There's a whole different just vibe and energy to them. And they're like, hey, my brother-in-law invited me to the 4th of July cookout this year. Like, I haven't been invited to this in 10 years. Like, this is awesome. And they're like reconnecting. And then you see people who's like, kids want nothing to do with them. And then I just had a meeting with a guy who was like, he was one of those people. And he goes, yeah, yesterday I was on the phone with my daughter. I get call waiting. I look, and it's my other daughter. Both calling me at the same time. That would have never happened before. So those kind of stories, those keep me coming back. I'm like, fuck yeah. It's not just about putting a plug in the jug, as
no.
I've heard a lot. It's about rebuilding relationships and actually adding value to the lives of yourself, but others. Like, love it.
For sure.
Yeah,
if it was, I'm glad it wasn't just about plugging the jug.
Totally.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah, that's what got me, seeing and hearing stories like that is what got me like first believing in it. And then be like you said, that's the good stuff.
Yeah. That's the juicy stuff.
Whether, I don't know, it's still hard for me to wrap my mind, and the term is in the book too, that we don't hold we don't have the market on recovery. But like, I don't know, anything else that do you think it's person to person? You
like with like AA has no monopoly, like we're not the only one.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah.
From stories I've heard, I know very little about like smart recovery and celebrate recovery and logic recovery. I don't know the ins and outs and details of those programs, so I can't speak on them. I don't know anybody personally that's had success, but I also don't know anybody personally who's tried and didn't have success. But I have heard, this is where, talk about controversial. I'm a huge podcast listener, and I've heard so many stories about psychedelics aiding in recovery and PTSD. There's this thing that I just recently heard about called ibogaine treatment. Ibogaine is like it's a plant or a bean or some kind of psychedelic substance that people have these journeys, and they say like after just one ibogaine experience, the recovery rate is like 80%. And then 2 ibogaine experiences, it's like 93 or like 95%. So I definitely think there's something to that. But AA 12 steps is the only thing that's worked for me, though I can say I've never really tried any other ones. But it's like, if you find something that works, why ditch it and try something else? Like, I don't really have any interest in figuring out a way to stay sober differently, if that makes sense.
Same. I used to be a lot more rigid on that as well, though, where I guess at the end of the day now, I think it takes what they talk about as a spiritual experience, which can just be just that psychic change. That's all. So whatever avenue it takes to get there, I think that's required across the board.
Yeah.
Whether that's whatever.
Yeah. If it's logic and reason that help people get sober, like more power to them. I used all the logic and reason I had available to me, and didn't work. Where do you stand? Where do you stand on the California sober thing?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's been so relevant in my life in the last year.
Yeah.
Just people I know.
California sober.
I'd be drunk within an hour.
I would too.
Within an hour. Maybe 24.
Yeah.
But for sure.
Uh-huh.
Because all of us have. I mean, I think all of us have tried that. Most of us have tried that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that's better. I think it's better than doing everything. Drinking as well. But I guess the way I would put it is, even if you can handle it and not start drinking, and because drinking is obviously a lot more intoxicating. It's a lot more dangerous to yourself and society.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'd be missing 95% of the benefits that the recovery has to offer.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking about, it's a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And I smoked weed for the same reasons that I drank.
Me too.
That was like my daytime substance, where you can't be sloppy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You can, but
yeah.
So I'm not into it.
Yeah.
But and I think I've actually over the years now I realize I think I've been pretty naive to how common it is.
I think it's pretty common.
I think it's pretty common, and it's not talked, and good, I guess I don't want to know about it, but I couldn't work with anyone like that.
Yeah.
I only know one way to do this, and it was just the way that was done with me, and it's like I would wish that person the best, and but that's not the recovery that I know how to pass on.
Right. Yeah. That I like the way you put that. Like, that's not the recovery that I know how to pass on. I don't know anything about moderately smoking pot.
I can't help you with that.
But again, it comes back to, if you are drinking and your life's a disaster, and you're getting high and your life's a disaster, and it's all interfused and intertwined, and then you find that just stripping away the booze and just leaving the pot or whatever non-destructive, mind-altering substance, and life is good, fuck it. Like, I'm kind of jealous of that, to be honest. Like, if I could still be casually smoking pot and have it not
Are you though?
Totally take over my life. I love what I have. I do.
Right.
So if that option was available to me, would I take it? I don't know. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, what I think is more important is, I know that option's not available to me. Because like you, if I start smoking weed, I've tried it before. This is how I know. It's not long before all of my thoughts are consumed with, when's the next time I can go get high? Say by some miracle, I don't go back to drinking and don't go back to pill popping, and I do keep it to weed only. Then it's like, all it's going to become is just like the moment I wake up, take an edible. And that's the thing that's like, in the time I've been sober, I feel like they've been working on weed harder.
Shit.
They've been working on the cure of cancer. Like, is it a sativa? Is it an indica? Is it gummies? How many milligrams in the edibles?
I'm not jealous of those who can smoke. Have you seen the prices?
Are they expensive?
No.
Oh, that's
Bro.
They're like
15. It's like you can get like sub $100 out. Yeah.
That's
the amount of money that I spent on that 15 years ago. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
I know.
Sometimes I even forget that it's legal.
Yes.
I don't even identify it as like it's been legal for.
You just like smell it at a park.
Yeah, but
and you're like,
I'm like, oh yeah.
Who's doing an illegal thing? It's like, oh no, they're
no.
fine. I don't know what the law says about doing it publicly.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I think I would lose my. So let's say I could do that. I still feel like I don't know how I would exist in rooms like that. Because like you're not talking about that. I would lose the majority of my. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like most of my friends are. And I think that's a good thing. That's the safety net. It's like, okay, well, what's the alternative to the life I have now? It'd be stripping away everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say I'm in a position where like, it's funny, kind of like half of my group of friends are sober in recovery. The other half still dabble. Probably not. They don't drink like me, but they have fun, whatever. And there was the one time where these two groups of friends meshed. You remember at the diaper party
Oh,
that
yes.
Nick T threw for me?
Yeah.
And I dyed my hair purple?
I do. Well, allegedly.
He always gave me shit.
Jet black.
It did come out. Yeah, it came out terrible.
I still got those pictures if we really wanted to.
Yeah, we could throw them up. We'll throw them up right next to the pictures of your fridge with the 12...
Oh, the monsters?
The
yeah.
12 packs.
Yeah, he's like, you want to do a challenge? I'm like, just restocked, man.
Yeah. I will say, so I do recommendations here on this channel sometimes. And just talking about the topic of caffeine, as I sit here with an empty Celsius next to me, one thing that a buddy of mine, Jamie Highland, one of my best buds going back to college days, he recommended this to me, and I finally pulled the trigger on it. It was sitting in my Amazon Save for Later list for 6 months. And it's called Everyday Dose. Let me grab it. For the camera, it is expensive. It's like $40 for 30 servings. So it's just over $1 per. It's like a cup of coffee. But it has 80% less caffeine than coffee. And just for the past few days, I've been starting my mornings off with it. It has tons of shit. So glycine, L-proline, L-glutamic acid, L-alanine, L-arginine, all these things. And it's like a mushroom blend too. So there are some like lion's mane mushrooms, nootropics. Very few things I've found that can fill the caffeine, at least for that first cup of coffee in the morning. This did it. This really helps. So if you were looking to dial back your caffeine, I would recommend this. And then I go on and I have my pre-workout, which is more than a cup of coffee. Then I can usually ride out a cup of half calf at like 8 a.m. and then just be good for the day. So if you, it doesn't give you like that burst of alertness that caffeine does. It's like a smoother, more stable, going back to like the sativas and the indicas, bro. It's like more of a sativa. Which one wakes you up? Indica or sativa? Sativa. It's gonna sativa your ass. But yeah, that's a good option for anyone looking to cut back caffeine, and no affiliation, everyday dose. How'd you think about that for an ad read?
I heard you, but I also heard 80% less caffeine, and I became 80% less interested.
Try it. I'll give you a scoop if you want when you go
Sure.
home. Okay.
I'm an all or nothing guy.
Yeah, me too.
Always been.
I know. Well, food.
Well, you got to eat. That's why food's so tricky.
I know.
It's like you have to. I wish I could just,
Mm-hmm.
If everything tasted like paper, life would be pretty fucking easy in that regard.
I know. The nuance in the food stuff is because, like, with drinking, you can just give it up. You don't have to drink. With food, you got to eat. But I think the nuance is, like, overeating.
For sure.
Specifically the overeating. And if I leave any sort of, like, goldfish, tortilla chips, any kind of chips or salty, crunchy, and I'm a fucking sweet tooth for life, so I can put down like a whole cake and not even bat an eyelash. Well, I'll bat an eyelash. I'll go lay on the couch for the rest of the night. Let's not even really switching gears because we've talked a lot of recovery stuff. What was your rock bottom like? Did you have a rock bottom, and what was it like?
So I don't have as many stories
Yeah.
as most. I got sober young. I isolated a lot. So meaning I knew I was a liability every time I walked out the door. So I tried to do that as little as possible.
Yeah.
Like I still drove when I shouldn't, but like I didn't want to be told I had to stop. I don't think probation would have suited me well. I wouldn't have. But so I didn't get in any trouble. I was so young. I hadn't really amassed anything. There was no family. Or there was no job yet. There was no money. But like I still felt absolutely dead inside. Didn't like myself. It's not how my parents raised me. Just the stuff that you thought you'd never do.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a pretty good childhood?
Yeah.
Me too.
Like 100%, man. I was loved. I was cared for. Never Never questioned that.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like to bring that up because alcoholism it doesn't discriminate, and there's not really external causation.
Right.
It's all in here. Like I can blame it on whatever I want. And, it's easy for me to say when I had it really good growing up, and others didn't. But it was just like it came to a point where like I was just living. It was a pathetic life. It was miserable. I was living just to drink, and it's like, okay, so do I want to live or not? Which was a question. I had been in and out of the rooms for, I say on the fringes. I was never in.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been around the rooms, like tiptoeing around, really not buying what was being sold yet, because I wasn't convinced myself of what I truly was. And but when that happens 15, 20 times, like when you try to like stop 15, 20 times on your own to varying degrees of success, whether it be a week up to 5 months, and it just always keeps happening again. So do I want to live, and do I want that to stop happening? Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, I want to keep the ball in your court, but just real quick, last week I had Zach on, and we were talking about his rock bottom a little bit, and he had this question he was ruminating on for a really long time. I thought it was super powerful. He was like, what do I have to do to want to live?
Yeah.
And I felt like in one form or another, I was sitting with that question for a while.
Yeah.
And it became like bigger than just the words in the question, but like, what do I have to do to want to live? And it's like, you're willing to try anything. And,
I wanted to outlive my parents.
Yeah.
Which was a pretty sad goal at that point in time. I was 22, 21.
Yeah.
So they had never, I'm sure given more time and more nonsense, they would have eventually had to have cut me out. But they hadn't yet. So I had that in my court. Like I felt like that was the only thing I had to live for, was my family. So I in and out a couple rehabs at this point. I'm sure, as you know, I came out of the second rehab stint with a girlfriend.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Whom you know.
Yeah.
Or knew.
Yeah.
So my recovery plan up to this point was like, okay, everything external has to be like, and then I'll be good. Like, it's just that I haven't graduated yet. I haven't gotten the girlfriend. I haven't gotten the job. Like, if all this stuff would just take care of itself, what would I have to do? Like, I'm nothing introspective. Nothing about just how angry and self-centered and like consumed with self, yet also not liking myself. None of that was like top of mind. So, not recommended to get a girlfriend in rehab.
Yeah, if I could add a note, it's almost like in that mind state, you're almost thinking, as long as other people are assuring me that I'm doing good, that means I'm doing good. I was so reliant on the opinions of others to tell me. I was like, am I doing okay? And I still fall into that sometimes, but more so now I feel, to be doing okay, you got to be kind of asking yourself those questions rather than like, Mom, is it looking good from your vantage point? Because I got the girl, like I'm doing the sober thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, my behavior got worse.
Yeah.
Like, like I started drinking again one time. I got compliments on my improved attitude at work.
Okay.
Let that sink in.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it did for me. Like, I was not easier to be around. But no, it was just external validation. And so we're doing, AA light. I think I'm just going, there I said it. 12 steps light.
Yeah. It's all right. I think this is good. Sorry, not to cut you off again. I think this is good because, like, not a ton of people listen to this podcast yet, but I think the majority of people are not in the program, are not sober. So, like, I think we're kind of peeling the curtain back a little bit without giving up anybody else's anonymity. And I just had that thought.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So like my whole solution at this point was like trying to build that life, and she was a big part of that. And I don't know. That went on about 4 or 5 months before I'm just like absolutely insane again. Now I haven't had a drink or anything in 4 or 5 months and just losing my mind. So I think that 4 or 5 months now was like honestly, it was a gift. It was a grace period to be like, hey, look, you got everything you wanted. How do you feel? That was how it was presented to me. And I was at a Tiger game with her and a couple other friends, and I was really, really resentful at the people drinking around me. Like, really. So, like, I kind of, I think the decision was made that night.
Yeah. Was she sober at that time?
She was.
Game? Okay.
So we were both, since, that was in May. And met her in December of 15. So that was May of 16.
Okay.
It's starting to blend together. I think that's right.
Yeah. For me, it's like there was
Yeah.
pre-COVID and post-COVID.
As far as I know, that's her date.
Yeah.
This weekend that I'm about to talk about wasn't quite mine yet, but I think this was the bottom.
Okay.
This is what caused me to like dive head first to like call Steve, like take action, not make my own decisions for a while. I actually went to that 8 1/2 that night. Didn't listen, I guess. I don't know. So it was just a weekend of nonsense, as you know. Like we're driving around, like we're the second each of us take a sip, we're two totally different people. Lots of fighting, lots of one thing led to another, and like she said she's done, she's gonna leave. And it sounds really silly now, but like if you've probably been in this state of mind, others who are listening may not, but like that was it. Like that was my world. So I thought 4 or 5 months was like an eternity. That's gone. She says she's leaving. I was ready to peace out. Like I was ready to be done. I don't think I actually was. Like I didn't want to live, but I didn't want to feel anything either. So I did hurt myself that weekend. I think that was I don't know what my true intentions were. I think that was probably just a cry for help. My mom ended up cleaning up, took care of, put it on hold there. But like, she lived in Lansing, dropped her off. We're back at the house. She's like, what the fuck are we going to do with you? Like, do you need to be committed? Do you need to go back to Brighton? Do you need to go to Dawn Farms? Do you need to go somewhere? I'm like, let's just talk about it in the morning. So 3, 4 in the morning, I still haven't been to sleep yet, but I also hadn't had a drink in like 8 hours. Okay. So I'm kind of like coming to a little bit. And it was just like, this is just going to keep happening. It was like an epiphany. It's just like, I don't think it came from, me. And it's like, why, give the program a legit shot, like a fair shot. You haven't done that yet. And I hadn't taken any action yet and gotten any relief, but I had this weird intuitive feeling that I knew I was going to be all right. And I hadn't done anything yet. So a few hours later, I'm on like watch. She's like, I'm like getting ready to go to work. She's like, where in the fuck do you think you're going?
Your mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, I'm going to work. She's like, fuck, you're not.
Fuck you. Yeah.
I'm like, no, Ma, you don't get it. Like, I'm going to call Steve and meet him at Panera and we're going to be good. She's like, I knew that. She's like, bullshit. So I went and hung out in Brighton one more time. But after that was when I dove into the steps.
Yeah.
Finally started to get some relief.
Yeah.
So it was just, I guess, one particular, it was just I guess got tired of living that way.
Now, one question. You don't have to, you could just say, I plead the fifth, a pass. You talked about harming yourself.
Yeah.
What specifically
I
did you do?
I cut my wrist.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. I've met many of people that sliced one way or
Yeah, it was
cutting.
one.
Yeah.
But I think I changed my mind. Or I was just trying to make a scene. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Cry for help or
it was
true
crazy.
intention.
Just insane weekend.
Yep.
Was it manipulating her to feel bad about what she said? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we were together another 1.5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
And like and stayed sober. So my first year and a half, 2 years was because you're not supposed to be dating.
Yeah.
But I didn't get to like learn truly who I was single in recovery until a couple years in, which I needed.
Yeah, same. I relied on having some form of significant other most of my recovery, and then, and then I was single in recovery for a fairly extended period of time. And I don't know if that was good or bad for me. Like I did my own thing for a while, but like the dating thing kind of fucked me up a little bit, and just
Well, you don't have to date if you're single.
No, I know. I felt like I did.
Yeah, you can just exist.
I know. That didn't even occur to me. I just thought as long as I don't have a girlfriend, I'm going to be on Tinder. I'm going to be kind of vibing my way at work, and, find myself in situations that in sobriety, probably not where you want to end up. And
it's still probably number one with a bullet on what I struggle with.
Yes.
In recovery.
Yes. I couldn't agree more. With me, not with you. I'm not taking. Not taking your inventory. Okay, one more. Okay, this is just a silly one, but we talked about pros and cons of the 12 steps or whatever meetings. This one just occurred to me because I was at a meeting this morning. We do oftentimes at meetings, we'll be like, is anybody celebrating a sobriety anniversary, birthday today? And you get the people show up late, 10, 15 minutes late to a 1 hour meeting, and they'll be like, yeah, I'm celebrating a birthday. Oh, how long? 17 months, or 55 days today, or I am 1,000 days. Like, that's not an increment that we celebrate, but everyone's still, oh, cool, how'd you do it? And then they do the how you do it, and they just go on and on and on and on, and that's just like I got to work on that for myself, as not getting so resentful. But the trifecta, the late attendance, celebrating an anniversary that's not even an anniversary celebrate, and then the run on.
Here's a con, and it relates.
Okay.
As a fellowship, we are too afraid to hurt people's feelings.
I think you hear about the old school meetings, people be like, you shut your mouth until you're here for 5 years or whatever. Yeah. I think that maybe the old days were a little extreme. Yeah. But now I do
I think there's some, like, maybe we don't. Remember being a newcomer, man? There's so many things going on, and like there's not just direction on step. There's direction on meeting etiquette. There's direction on here's some social aspects. Here's direction on service with the meeting, and then also stuff like that, like anniversaries or like keeping your time speaking, whether it's taking a coin or at a table to a minimum, like not a minimum, but like, a reasonable amount, and, listen.
Say you bring the mess to your sponsor, bring the message to the table.
For sure.
I've always liked that.
It's not therapy. It's not therapy.
It's not.
It's not. Oh gosh.
Sponsor's not a therapist.
No.
People at your table aren't therapists. We're not financial advisors. We're not relationship healers, gurus, or whatever.
How many times I've told guys, like, man, this is out of my scope. I know how to do 1-2 things in here. I think I'm pretty blessed that most things I need help with can be helped with the program.
Right.
Can be solved. More so than others. Others have more going on than I do that are outside of, like, it's not a fix-all. And sometimes I think we and I'm extremely guilty of this thing, because it's my experience that for me, I can almost always turn to program and it'll get solved. Almost always. Yeah. For others, it's only 60%. But I wasn't always open to hearing that more early.
Right. And on that note, it says, like, right in the book, we are friends of the medical community. So if you have a problem that needs to be addressed with a psychiatrist or even medication, like, doctors are our friends. So there may be some things, serious trauma, PTSDs, like really serious shit that, like, I'll tell you how to stay sober through it. Yeah. But if you want to, like, actually do some like big scale healing, it might take the help of professionals. And that's, where I think the line gets a little blurry for some. It's like, oh, I got, molested as a child. I'll talk to my sponsor about it and we'll just do our AA thing and wave a magic wand and whatever. It's like, I could probably help you stay sober through trauma like that, but to actually unpack it and get to the nitty gritty and roots, I'm not a therapist. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, on the long-winded note, literally at the table this morning, like there's a fella who was going on and on and on. He's like, people don't like to sit with me because I talk too much about God. And then he goes on and on and on. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, it's 4th of July. And when George Bush lied to this country about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and blah, blah, blah. And I just like, that was my time. Because I went maybe 4 shares later. That was my time to be like,
did you stop him?
I should have, but I wanted so badly to be like, sir, if people truly aren't wanting to sit by you, just one person's perspective, but maybe it's because you talk a little too much about George Bush and weapons of mass destruction, and like, just keep it with the God stuff. You're fine. But like, I sat with, a couple old timers sitting next to me, and we were kind of like doing the thing where like checking our watches and like, should we do it? Should we stop them? That's one where it's like,
we're afraid to hurt people's feelings.
Yes. Do you ever do that? Do you ever cut people off? I think I might have done that one time.
Maybe once or twice. I say it now. I'm like, would I have done it?
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know.
Right.
How long? It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
But I really appreciate when someone does.
Yeah.
So maybe I should. But I don't know. I've tried to lighten up.
Mm-hmm.
There's like when you first get this and then you think you know everything, like there's that ego to contend with.
Yeah. I was at an open talk one time, and this guy, he was maybe 2 years in, and he carried himself like he was Bill W. himself. And I shit you not, he's standing at the podium and he's doing his thing, and then he goes, anybody here less than 30 days? And then one person raised their hand. He goes, somebody get him a notebook. Fella, I want you to write some of this stuff down so you could take it with you. I'm like, pretty bold of you to be telling someone to take notes on what you're about to say. And I left early. I couldn't fucking take it. Just the way he, and I wish I could remember some of the specifics of what he shared, but it was fucking brutal. Like, open talk, like, so, whatever. I don't want to dog on AA too much because it saved my life and it's the best thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna play this back and then like, so how many pros? Like I'm like, gosh, sometimes I feel like I'm Mr. No, like I'm like a huge proponent of it.
Yes.
Like if you said pros and cons, like okay, so when I didn't have to sit there and think on my way over about. I know what the pros. It's like okay, so what am I gonna?
Mm-hmm.
So what can be some downfalls? I'm very.
Yeah, and
saved my life.
I think in terms of the program itself, I got no critiques for the most part, and I think it's all coming from a place of love because it is the best thing that's ever happened to me. It is the most important thing in my life. It did, it gave me a life that I didn't even think was available for me, and all of that. It's like, I don't know. It's like if you have a kid, like I love the kid more than anything. Like I think you can come from a place of like, but the fucker doesn't listen, like whatever. Like, well,
yeah, and critiques are what keeps the rooms healthy.
There you go.
Like, if we didn't take our own, group inventory or on a larger scale, rooms get sick. Program can get sick. I mean, it's still not the same as it was before COVID.
I agree.
It's not.
I totally agree.
It's almost there in some rooms. In others, it's not even close. So if we're not constantly reviewing what we're doing, I mean, we are 90 years removed from the guidelines that were given to us, and they're not always followed again because, like, look, it's tough because you have so many people from so many different walks of life, and everyone has their opinion on. But sometimes you gotta be a little rough if you want to keep because like it has to be conducive for someone new to walk in, feel welcomed, and feel excited about a life that could be possible for them. That's it. That's the only job in there.
Yeah.
And if that's not happening because of weapons of mass destruction or because of, egos that we all have and letting it out too much.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's natural, but it's also like our responsibility. We've been around a while to kind of make sure we're following what was set out for us, because that's what worked. And curious, any of the TikToks, did they ever talk about success rate?
I think they flubbed the success rate because, like, bullshit it. Like,
lie
about it.
Well, I mean, was that any of the talking points negatively?
I've heard a TikTok or two say that AA has a super low success rate. And I've always thought, from hearing in rooms, but also outside of the rooms, which I think is very important, that it has like the highest success rate of people who get sober. Maybe not the first time you come through, but I think as a last option, which is a lot, no one comes into the room on a winning streak. I don't know. I thought it was like in the 70%.
Oh no, maybe in raw numbers it's like the highest. Like raw, like cumulative number of people. Like if someone's sober, chances are it's a 12-step program. Mm-hmm. Odds are.
Yeah.
But no, it's low.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's.
While you're talking, I'm gonna see if ChatGPT has anything to say.
Yeah, it's sub 10.
Is it?
But I don't think that's. But like you said, that might be like first time. So what does that all encompass? Being an anonymous program, being like not. There's not a lot of record keeping.
Yeah.
But I think that says more about. I mean, there's just more people that get picked really green. Mm-hmm. People who get in trouble. The courts will send them to us. It's more, I think recovery is more mainstream than ever. So like people are coming in younger, maybe not ready. Maybe parents are picking them too green. But also, frankly, a lot of people just don't want to do what we're offering. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you can count that as a statistic unless you do that.
Yeah.
But who's keeping track of who hasn't done an inventory? No.
Right. That's a key.
The haves and the have-nots.
Right. How far along do these people get? Like, would I be considered a success story? Because my first attempt at AA, I was like forced by the courts. I didn't get sober. I had no interest. But then what it did do is planted a seed so that the next 2-3 years of my life was pretty much spent trying to prove it wrong. Yeah. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do by myself to control or moderate. So it was like, I'm really grateful that the court sent me there. Not everyone has that experience. Yeah. I do have that experience. So was I a failure? Even though I came back and
I would say no, but I don't know how they're counting that.
Right.
It just speaks to how vicious this disease can be. Mm-hmm. Like you had that experience where, I'm grateful I drank the way I drank.
Yeah.
I never had a social drink in my life. Therefore, there was no delusion about what I was. Yeah. Like I can't safely use this. Right. My delusion was power choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is not super helpful. Studies vary widely, but long-term sobriety rates among AA members are typically reported in the 5 to 30% range, depending on how success is defined. Mm-hmm. And then it says 27% of members stay sober for 1 year or more, 14% stay sober for more than 5 years, and then about 50% drop within the first 3 months. So,
like, sounds about right?
Yeah, it seems like the people who come in just to like check it out or do a little sightseeing tour, if those are counted towards the total, then that kind of skews the numbers a little bit, because did they have any intention on getting sober in the first place?
Right.
Like you said, green.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that. Like I believe this. I think you do too. That if you want this and you do and you follow the directions and then you maintain that in your life, it'll work for you. Mm-hmm. You'll get results. It's not a matter of like. I don't think it's luck. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of grace, and I think I've been very fortunate, but I think that's available to all of us.
Yeah.
That grace.
Yeah. What about some of us were constitutionally incapable of being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
There are such unfortunates. They're not at fault.
That's.
I feel like I've met a few
Yeah.
that fall in that category that like seem to have all the desire in the world, but you hear them talk and everything they talk about is blaming shit on other people. Like, and it's just incessant. It's baffling. It's like, yeah, I was coming here and this bitch cut me off. It's like, okay, I don't, you're probably telling the truth. And then they go on and on about everything in the world is against them. And it's like,
we're an interesting lot.
I don't know if there's anything that can crack that just instinctual dishonesty that some people have, that I'm grateful that I've kind of gone beyond that. Cause I used to kind of have that to a degree, blame others a lot, but that's a lie. I might've been dishonest, but I was dishonest in a way where I blamed myself for probably more than I actually should have. So I think one benefit of recovery is it kind of helped me heal. And
I think we have a tendency to do that too. Maybe almost to the negative. A con.
God,
so like we're trying to think of ourselves less, not less of ourselves. But I think sometimes through this process, we can beat ourselves a little. Like we're trying to deflate that ego. That's a good thing. But can it go too far? Yeah, I've done that too. Ass kicking.
Absolutely. I had a random question for you that has nothing to do with recovery. So if anyone's been listening and is just like, when are they going to fucking stop talking about sobriety? Right here, actually. So I'm going to give you a hypothetical. Say you are on a walk in your neighborhood. It's garbage day or the day after garbage day. Some cans are still out. And you got a piece of trash in your hand. Is it okay to throw your trash in another person's bin?
Depends on what city you're in. So,
is this a real thing?
Yeah, my trash has to be bagged.
Okay.
It can't just be loose like that.
No
so
loose trash.
So if you do that in Dearborn, I think that's a no-go.
Okay.
If it's a city where you don't have to, specific requirements, specific ordinance that it has to be bagged, I think you're fine.
I had no idea.
But I know what episode you're talking about.
Curve.
Yeah.
I try to sneak that one in there like it was my own idea. No, anything.
I'm sorry.
No. I was gonna come clean. Any funny thing that I say is from
it's the best
one
observational
of these
series of all time.
God damn, it is so good. And I was so late to the Curb party.
Oh, I mean, I was only 9 on the first season or 8.
Good
was it 2001? No, 99. 99 was the first one.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so I was 6.
I was late on the Curb boat. I was late on the Seinfeld boat. I didn't start to get into Seinfeld till 7 years ago.
Okay.
And
I've seen all of them.
I was always like, in high school, I was team Friends because it was like Friends versus Seinfeld. Which one's better? I was always like, oh, Friends is way better. I laugh way harder when I watch Friends. Not even really giving Seinfeld that much time of day. But now I will gladly admit I was incorrect. Seinfeld's way better. Curb is one of the best comedies of all time.
And Curb has more, creative freedom.
Yeah.
I give Seinfeld a lot more wiggle room because it was network television in the 90s with a lot more censorship.
Yeah.
So like, the premium channels, which is primarily what I watch because of that. I don't want any restrictions. So like the HBOs, the Netflix series, but I mean Seinfeld was just on regular Monday night. I don't know what night of the week it was on, but set your VCR if you can't catch it.
Right. Way before DVR and TiVo. Okay, so I didn't even plan on talking about what are some of the greatest comedy series of all time. Actually, before you answer that, think about it. I'm going to take a quick pee. I'll edit this out, but I'll be right back. What were we talking about?
Comedy series.
Yeah. What's your Mount Rushmore of comedy?
I'll try to give you.
Series?
I'll try to give you some network and some non-network because I think they're just playing by different rules.
Okay.
Right? So
that's fair.
Network. One of my comfort shows. And this is I say this is the third time I'm watching, but at this point I'm honestly just playing on my phone and it's background noise and it's comforting. But I love How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
I can't explain why.
Yeah.
But network, so playing by a lot of censorship rules still cracks me up. Mm-hmm. It gets a lot of heat But I personally really enjoy Two and a Half Men.
We move the mic a little bit closer. Cool. 2.5 Men.
2.5 Men.
We're talking pre-Charlie Sheen?
Only Charlie Sheen.
Only Sheen.
Exclusively Sheen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. That show was over. I don't care how,
Yeah. Who came before it? Was it Ashton Kutcher? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was just a cash grab.
Yeah. That was a good show. I never got into How I Met Your Mother too much. It's always been on my radar. Would love to check it out. 2.5 Men always fucking crack me up.
Yeah. But because it's kind of sleazy, people are like, oh, I'm like, I don't know. He's just a drunken fool playing himself.
Absolutely.
It's amusing.
Yeah. And then it was well worth, whether or not you're a fan of the show, it was well worth the Charlie Sheen meltdown of like 2010, whatever that was.
It was a long time ago.
The winning, the tiger blood, are there any drugs in this house right now? He goes, I don't know. If there are, give them to me. It's so fucking funny, dude. Oh my God. Sheen.
What are some, what are some HBO ones?
HBO's.
So, I mean, Curb,
bangers.
obviously. We touched on that. Just trying to think of those, like, okay, what are those half-hour comedies? I don't know. You go ahead.
Okay.
They'll pop in my head.
Man, my number one all-time favorite is South Park. It's on this wall several times over. I got all the DVDs up to season like 20 or something like that, and then I've not only watched them all, but I've watched all like the Matt and Trey commentary. Those guys, when it comes to just creating, they're like they're just so funny and they're so talented, and I can't say enough good things about them. Other than that, comedy wise, Curb is definitely climbing the ranks quickly. Always Sunny is up there for network.
It's been a while for me. Yeah. They were like mid-network though, because like it was FX, right? Mm-hmm. Like late night FX is different than like 8 p.m. CBS, but it's not quite HBO.
Yeah.
So they could get away with some stuff there.
Very
It's
true.
like Breaking Bad.
Yeah. I don't know if this counts where this falls. Jackass, this series, that was my shit growing up. Like, this was so funny to me. Jackass, all 4 seasons, and then the movies. Man, I loved it. I was watching, because I just subscribed to Paramount, so I was diving into the Paramount catalog. They have Jackass, the show. I threw on just a random episode of Jackass season 2, and what they got away with is mind-blowing. Like, they just had Pontius dressed up like a Dutch girl, and he had his skirt, and he was just going around flashing people his dick. And it's just like, man, the good old days when you could just show people your wiener and have people like laughing at it, not being like, ooh, that's whatever we would call it nowadays. Then Louis C.K. years later gets busted for just, innocently jerking off in front of people. And it's like, come on, people.
Speaking of Louis.
No pun intended.
I'll watch more stand-up than series now, probably.
Yeah, me too.
So, like, every Netflix special worth its salt I've seen on that.
Yeah, me too. Who are your comedians?
That I have a Mount Rushmore. It's
current. Let's go all time.
Yeah,
let's go current too.
Yeah, I think anything in the last 25 years is probably more. I don't know. I feel like stand-up's really hit its stride then. Maybe that's just because I wasn't alive, so I don't relate to the 70s, 80s, 90s guys that well. Mm-hmm. But Chappelle's
my number one.
So also, Chappelle's show. If you're thinking 26 episodes, very, very brief of greatness. I actually didn't watch that until like 2020.
Okay.
So I was way behind on that.
Yeah.
I really like Daniel Sloss.
Okay.
Who's not as well known.
Okay. I've seen a clip or two of his, but let me
watch. Sloss. He's got 2 on Netflix. He's got 1 on HBO. He's got a couple on his website that he sold, which I'm not a fan of because you got to buy them.
A lot of these guys will just throw up YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Or specials on their YouTube. Honestly, okay. Is he's
a Scottish guy?
Oh, I was gonna say I knew he
Jigsaw on Netflix.
Spoke with an accent. Okay.
That's if we're starting anywhere, we're starting there.
All right.
He's excellent. And then I like Jeffries a lot, and that's the only of those 3 that I've Jim Jeffries that I've seen in person.
Okay.
Saw him at Royal Oak maybe 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe longer than that. It was before COVID.
Okay. Cool. So Chappelle, Sloss. Jim Jeffries.
Yeah.
How
many are Mount Rushmore? 4?
Did Jim Jeffries play Mark Ridley's, or was it at the music theater?
It was at Royal Oak Music
Theater.
Theater.
Okay, yeah. I saw Dimitri Martin there. Fucking hilarious. Yeah. See, his opener was really funny too. Forgot his name, but you got one more, sir.
I like Segura.
Yeah.
God, I would have to really think about the 4th. If I'm asked, I give those 3. Like at one point, I was really into Bill Burr.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much anymore.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Roofing in July. That's my best Burr impression. Yeah.
I like when he's talking about
Steve Jobs
being a mom and pressing play on the VCR.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, no, I thought roofing was a hard job. These mothers have the hardest job in the world. Oh, man. I love Burr because he won't stand on either side of the aisle. He'll just get both sides. I think that's very valuable as a comedian.
You got to make fun of everyone.
Absolutely.
Because it's a safe space. We're gonna let you. I'm gonna let you say whatever you want.
Yep.
But you got to be fair.
Yes.
Other people are gonna trash you, and I don't know why. It's comedy. If you're not interested, don't listen.
Right. And that's kind of been my beef with SNL over the past few years. They went.
Oh, Gillis, fucking A.
Yeah, there you go.
There's my new. Yeah.
Yep.
So there's my 4.
Gillis, man.
I've been dying. He needs. When's the next special? He's only got 2.
He only does. Oh yeah, I know.
He's touring right now, so I'm assuming we'll get one out of this. But he's playing arenas, and I have beef with comedy in arenas. I won't go.
Yeah.
That is a theater art.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going and sitting upper deck at LCA.
Right.
Where he's this big.
Right. There's a lot of arena acts right now.
Yeah.
And it's good on them.
I'll pay up for a small venue. And that's the same for concerts now too. I'd rather pay up, go to one concert every 3 years, but have it be an awesome experience versus going to a bunch, sitting nosebleeds. And we used to go just because it was a party.
Right.
I'm not partying anymore, so.
Right. Yeah, concerts, I could tell I'm getting older and boring because I love a concert. The before and after the concert almost makes it not worth it for me. Yeah. Like, if you could take me in a helicopter, plop me in my seat 5 minutes before the show, and pick me back up 5 minutes after the show, it would be the coolest thing in the world. But the parking and the squeezing, especially at Pine Knob, where it's you're going to sit in traffic for 45 minutes just to get in, and then it's a nightmare getting out, and then, God forbid, you park on that lawn, then it's totally jammed up.
You got to go with good people.
Yeah.
Because it's an event. It's a day.
That's true.
It's not just the show.
Yeah, that shit never used to bother me. Because it was pregame, It's whatever, we'll get there when we get there. We'll just have the time to pregame.
Yeah, it's so infrequent now. I guess I don't mind it too much. But I don't go that much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, comedy, Mount Rushmore. Stand-up comedians. I have to go with Chappelle. Honorable mentions to the GOATs like the Lenny Bruce and the Richard Pryor and the George Carlin. Carlin might crack my top 4 or 5. But
of the old school, that's who I've given the most time to.
Yeah, he had some stinkers though too. Yeah. He said some really wise shit, and he was very good at the rapid fire kind of comedy. But whatever, Dangerfield's up there, but Gillis would probably be in mine too.
And he's so new too. It's I can't wait. Let's see how long this goes.
Yeah, and I like a batch of New York comics right now. I like the Mark Norman, Joe List, Dan Soder, Sam Morril kind of guys.
You'll have to give me a list.
Yeah, Dave Attell is another one who's been doing it forever. I went to go see him at Mark Ridley's last year with my buddy Neil. That was probably the hardest I've ever laughed at a comedy show was going to see Dave Attell live. He is just a wizard with comedy. You don't know when he's doing pre-written material or just riffing with the crowd. He comes in and out of it so seamlessly and just doesn't let up. It's like a fucking pedal to the metal of just laughs for an hour. You can't catch your breath. It's so good. So yeah, let me check my notes and see. I think I had a couple other talking points. We'll try to steer away from recovery since we
beat it to
we beat a dead horse.
To death.
Beat a dead horse.
I could go on. Yeah, you don't want to. I know.
Pros and cons and pros and cons. I don't want to call it. Oh, another recommendation. There's a vitamin company that sponsors this podcast, NutriCost. If you want to go to their website and get 10% off, coupon code is in the description of this video. But if you'd rather order them off Amazon, comment, let me know what product it is. I can get you a discount code for Amazon because a lot of people don't like to wait for the shipping. But yeah, I just like to throw that in there because I use a bundle of their products, and they were kind enough to respond to me when I reached out to their HR team or whatever. Have you heard? I guess this is kind of recovery related. Sorry, everyone, but she's a big prominent figure in the like self-help space right now. Her name is Mel Robbins. Have you heard of Mel Robbins?
The name sounds familiar, but I'm not. Not sure.
Her book is called "Let Them."
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Todd brought that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's a great book.
Yeah.
I'm kind of being an asshole without doing any research of my own, but it aggravated me that all she did was take the Serenity Prayer and monetize it
and make a book out of it.
Yeah, it's like accept the things I cannot change. And her thing is just let them. If people want to say bad things about you, let them. If people want to do the opposite of what you told them to do, let them. And it's like, it sounds an awfully lot like you're just monetizing the Serenity Prayer.
Is she in recovery? Do you know?
I would imagine so,
Yeah.
but I'm not.
Then I'm definitely not into that. If she wasn't,
yeah.
If she was, no, man.
I know.
For free and for fun.
Right. Exactly.
For free and for fun.
Yep. It's based on attraction.
Outside of treatment centers and therapists and, a few necessities there. But
yeah. Did you ever consider being a recovery coach?
Not really.
Yeah.
It's an odd concept to me.
Yeah.
I know a couple people who have done it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of like a stepping stone. I actually dated someone who did it for a little bit. It was a stepping stone for her career after the fact.
Okay.
So I didn't know her when she was doing that, but even she said, like, yeah, it felt weird getting paid to do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I would.
Yeah.
I've
considered it myself.
Like, what's the difference between that and a sponsor? Do you know? Like, is it? I don't know. I'm asking.
It's very little difference.
Very little difference.
One thing that kind of hinders it is once you've been doing it a little while, it becomes like, you know how in a job where you have like metrics you need to hit and like commission based off like the more production. It sounds like it's kind of like that setup where it's like the more people you're coaching, the higher benefit you get out of it.
See,
it's like,
no, man.
I
have a limit of. I know what I'm capable of to get to be most effective and helpful with someone, and like, especially early on, the stuff is if you're working with someone, it's really labor intensive. So if I agree to take them on, it's my responsibility to give them what they need. Yeah. And time's a big part of that. So it's like 2 max. Like if I'm taking someone through it's 2 at a time. And then once you're out of the nest, it's totally different.
Right.
But
right.
If you're stacking recovery coach on recovery. So it's a weird concept to me. I'm trying to be less rigid nowadays. That was I feel like I don't know. I'm only 32, but I'm like I have a little recovery sheriff in me, if you will, and I know I do. But
I'm trying to be less rigid just in day-to-day life.
Yeah,
I try little things like, I don't know, taking a different route to work or or just like little tiny things. And I just found myself like so preparing for what's next that like when I get thrown out of my routine, it throws me off way more than it used to. And I'm trying to dial that back and kind of relearn how to just go with the flow. Like it used to be, and it's probably an age thing, but it used to be like, if I'm living somewhere and someone wants to come sleep on the couch, it's like, yeah, make yourself at home, whatever. But now if I got someone sleeping on the couch, I'm like, well, don't touch my fucking coffee pot. I got coffee set for delay brew at 4:45. And if it's not there when I get it, I'm going to be upset a little bit. And, I got to get better at that. But whatever. One day at a time. Anything else that you were hoping to talk about today that we haven't gotten to?
I did come prepped with a pet peeve.
Oh, sweet.
If we haven't bitched enough about other stuff.
Let's hear
it. I have. So yeah, the caveat of no traffic, that's boring.
I know.
So, everyone thinks no one else can drive. But it's like, well, who are the people who can drive then?
Right.
Anyways.
I can drive.
Me too. People get all like in my passenger seat. I'm like, don't worry. There's no one I trust more behind the wheel than myself.
Right. And let's be honest.
Just so
It's
you know.
the men who can drive and it's the women who can't.
Yeah. I'm not often a passenger, so
Right.
I'm probably a terrible one.
Yeah. Shane Gillis has that joke where he's like, racism isn't something where either you have or you don't. It's like hunger. It's like, yeah, sure, you're not right now, but some cheeseburger cuts you off in traffic, then, you know, might get a little hungry.
Beautiful Dogs on Netflix.
Yep.
Check it out. I think how someone behaves themselves in the ecosystem of a public gym
All right.
is very, very telling
Yes.
about a person and how it's probably so those who don't re-rack the weights, those who re-rack them incorrectly. It's just like, it's like this little public space, but like who does and who doesn't think about the person next to them. Like, sure, I can, and I don't like it, but I guess it's an extra part of a workout. I'll re-rack your shit that you don't want to take care of. But not everyone can lift or like re-rack what you have up there. Like
45-pound plate.
Yeah, there's little old ladies at PF, man. Like, just asking them to, like, if you're squatting and you're 6 foot tall, it's up here, and you got 2 plates, and she's like 5'1" and 60 years old, but wants to use the Smith. What are you doing?
Yeah. Fair point.
So it's the same people that don't put their shopping cart back.
Yeah.
Probably.
I've actually had both of those. Emily
Okay.
works at a gym, so of course she has a gym etiquette thing. And then a buddy, Chris Roos, shout out Chris Roos, had a whole thing about shopping carts, which I agree. It's the same person. It's the selfish person, or at least too deep in their own thoughts to consider anything they're doing. And at most gyms, there's signs up that say, please re-rack your weights. Please wipe down your equipment. Please, you know, saunas are big too. Like sauna etiquette where it says clearly, oh yeah, top notch. My buddy Russ, he had this one. If you have a sauna at your gym, there's always a sign. Don't dump your fucking essential oils on our shit.
Yeah.
And every time you go in there, it smells like clover leaf or frankincense. Someone just...
We fucked up a lot of saunas at Essential.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said quit dumping the water on it, and we did.
Yeah, of course.
I lived in that place.
Yeah.
It was a unisex sauna at Central. Of course I did.
Woo!
And I had drug tests to pass.
Yeah?
Anyways.
That's true.
I've been...
Did you ever get laid in a sauna?
Not, I mean, it was
Seems like
my buddy Moon, the lifeguard from there one time.
Oh,
He
really?
got banned from the Student Activity Center.
Mooned a
He
lifeguard?
literally mooned a lifeguard.
A male lifeguard? Female?
I was a male.
Okay.
I was in there, you know, trying to, you know, work some game.
Mhm.
And then this idiot, I mean, he was a using buddy. It's what he was.
Yeah.
But we would work out together. He just, at the door, he just kind of mooned the lifeguard. And then I'm like, bro, they're going to like you need to get in the locker room, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
They caught him in the locker room. He got banned he gets caught, and then I'm still in there, and security or some worker comes in who wants to claim, I'm not going to say his name.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, claim him as what? Like, sure, I'll come help out.
Yeah.
I've been a guest at Crunch recently with a guy thinking about switching because I think Planet has some restrictions, but I also might want to get an indoor tennis club. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Anyways, they have a sauna in there, and there was a sign that it basically said, "This is the last time we're fixing this sauna. If you all fuck it up again, we're closing it."
Yeah.
Like how many people are messing with the thermostat? They have like a cage around the heating unit to try to like big wooden and metal cages and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you just can't trust. It's like the weakest link.
Yeah. Do you have the people at your gym that like set up cameras and they're like?
I haven't seen that as much. I've seen
models?
it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a pro of Planet Fitness is that there's not a ton of that there. At least if it is, I'm oblivious to it.
Yeah.
But I know that's a big thing.
Yeah, for sure. And most gyms are filled with mostly helpful people who, you know, aren't judging, aren't doing bullshit like that.
Downside of PF, it's always in the summer too. I don't know if you know this, but they let 15 to 19-year-olds work out for free. So the lingering and the like crowding of not actually using the equipment.
Yeah.
And teenagers are fun.
Teenagers are great. we're in good hands. I think our future is in hands.
Yeah.
What future that we have?
Yeah.
Now that I've
I'm just trying to
Just
get through mine.
AI and Iran and Russia, it all scares me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't live in fear.
What
What do you think is going to be the end of humanity? You think we're going to get hit with an asteroid? Or are we going to hit ourselves with our own asteroid?
Climate.
Climate's going to kill us. Florida's going to be underwater.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to make sure I go to New Orleans and Miami and I'm trying to go to all the places that are going to be underwater.
Yeah.
Make sure I get there before they do. New Orleans was awesome. Highly recommend.
I would love to go there. I've never been. I've been to Florida several times.
I was there the week before the world ended with COVID.
Oh, really? That's
the
right.
week before. So I often romanticize that trip because for the longest time it was the last normal memory I had, the last cool fun thing that I did.
Yeah.
For a while.
Wow. Yeah. I hope we don't have states go underwater, but you never know. I think I listen to too much bullshit about AI that I
do a pretty good job of I don't want to be totally misinformed or uneducated.
Yeah.
But if I get too deep, it just affects my mood.
Yeah.
In a way that I don't care to have it affected.
Oh yeah.
Day to day.
Yeah, I should delete the the news app I don't go on. I'll just check the news app and it'll frustrate me. But my thing is I listen to a lot of podcasts and a lot of them go into the AI talk and it's I'm doing it to myself. I need to set up some measures to where I don't fill my head up with
It's fantasy football podcast season, so I can fill it up with other nonsense that's totally irrelevant to real life.
That's true. I got to get in my buddies league this year. For the past 15 years, every year I keep saying I'm gonna get in that league, guys, because my stepdad's in it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know my buddies that well, but he's in there, and I keep telling him, I'm like, Bob, I'm gonna take that team off your hands this year, and I'm gonna do some fantasy football. Now that I got a kid, I want to teach him about football, and I watch the Lions every Sunday, but other than that, I don't really know what else is going on. So.
I mean, I've significantly cut back, but I'm still pretty involved.
Yeah, you got heavy into gambling. I
did.
Yeah, there were several times where I considered using you as
it might be
money making.
It might
tool.
be drying up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I kind of hit a breaking point this past fall where it was no longer worth the time and energy to me.
Okay.
Mentally,
were you
it was
making
a good
money?
4 or 5 year run. Well, of course, at that point, I was on a losing streak. But overall, yes.
Yeah.
But it was, I guess, how you handle losing streaks and that tells you whether or not you need to be doing this or not. And I had them before, but at that point, it was affecting me way too much emotionally. And you can't do that when you're dealing with money. So it was time.
Yeah.
It served a purpose for a little bit, but I wanted to do other stuff. Like when I was heavy into that, my health suffered. I wasn't in shape. I wasn't socializing as much as I needed to be. Wasn't programming as much.
Yeah.
But it did serve a purpose. I'm not touting it either. Like don't get into it.
Yeah.
Don't.
I think that's one aspect where I've been fairly lucky is the gambling. I went to the casino a handful of times. This was probably 10 years ago. But it was in sobriety, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Win or lose, I set aside $200, $300 at most, whatever I could afford. Played some blackjack with my buddies, and like I said, I feel lucky because I was never that addict part of me never came out. I just had fun.
Yep.
And if I lost, I lost. If I won, cool. But it never really compelled me to want to go hit the slots for hours on end or get into the sports betting really. But I thought that was. Yeah. Something.
Fortunately, we know what an addict is, and I know I'm not a gambling addict. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have let it become as big of an activity as it was.
Yeah, I empathize with the.
I hate losing money, man. I hate it. And if you're gonna play like that, though, you better get used to it.
Right. Yeah, that gambling addiction seems like it would. Fucking
it's just as crippling as any of them.
Oh yeah,
I would imagine.
Oh yeah. Well, cool. Pet peeve. Gym people, get your shit together. Follow the rules. Rules are there for a reason. And if you don't know the rules, learn the goddamn rules. Right?
Yeah, I mean there's signs everywhere.
Yeah. Where do you want to eat lunch? Do you want to eat lunch? Do you have time?
I do.
Okay.
I'm playing. What time is it?
11.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, well, we are going to wrap up. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. This is going to come out in end of July. So unless the world ends, we'll see you end of July. And this camera's about to die, so perfect. All right, bye, everybody.
See you.